going to do a little video on Roscoe White here. It'll be different than other things you've seen about Roscoe. If you've seen things about Roscoe, you've probably heard the story told by his son, Ricky White. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff because I think it's all fluff. I think the real story is in the original documents, not the stuff that Ricky White found. And so here is Roscoe. He was a Marine. He was a police officer, and he was a follically challenged individual. I'm going to take this chronologically, and the chronology has some interesting parallels with Lee Harvey Oswald. Roscoe's a little older than Oswald, but the timing of things is very interesting. I'm going to start here. This is from his Dallas police personnel file when they were investigating him as a new hire or a potential new hire. And I'm going to start the third paragraph down where it says the applicant was employed by Convair Corporation, Fort Worth, Texas, May 8th, 1956, and quit for other employment on July 28th, 1956. He is eligible for rehire. So he quit and he's eligible for rehire. Means Convair is fine with him. It's not something he did. He wasn't fired, and they'd be happy to have him back. Now, it says he quit for other employment, but there is no information on what that other employment is. And he quit on July 28th, 1956, which just happens to be the same time that Lee Harvey Oswald and his mother moved to Fort Worth from New Orleans. So at the same time that Oswald moves to Fort Worth, Roscoe White quits his job in Fort Worth with Convair, which is a government contractor, a military contractor. Above information from Mr. J.M. Langford, Security Division, Convair. The applicant did not list this employment on personal history statement. They're saying that Roscoe White did not put on his application that he worked for Convair. So even though Convair is happy with him, for some reason Roscoe White wants to hide that employment, apparently. And then October 24th, 1956, Lee Harvey Oswald enlisted in the Marine Corps. And shortly after that, in February of 1957, Roscoe White enlisted in the Marine Corps. So I think that is an interesting coincidence that Roscoe White moved or quit his job in Fort Worth. He had moved there recently before that, quit his job at the same time that Lee Harvey Oswald moved there, and then both of them joined the Marine Corps. Of course, if that was all there was to it, then it wouldn't be very interesting, but there is more. Now here we can see from Roscoe's orders, or from his Marine Corps record, that he was stationed in Subic Bay from November 29th, 1957 to March 15th, 1958. And my insert here shows from Oswald's record that he was stationed in the Philippine area and in Subic Bay from November 20th, 1957 to March 6th, 1958. So it's the same time period as Roscoe White, except that Roscoe was there 9 days earlier and left 9 days earlier. So that's an interesting coincidence, too. And that coincidence is made more interesting by the Martin Strand incident, which occurred in Subic Bay on Cubic Point on January 5th, 1958. Now, this graphic, the photograph is not from January 5th, 1958, but my annotations refer to January 5th. Roscoe White was stationed in Subic Bay, which is the base across the bay from Cubic Point, and Cubic Point is the landing strip here, and that's where Oswald was stationed. So both of them were stationed at this time. Oswald went to different places in the Philippines, but on January 5th he was at Cubic Point, and Roscoe White was still assigned, according to his record, to Subic Bay. So on January 5th, both of them were there. And that's where Martin Strand was killed. I don't want to get into the Strand thing here because that'll be its own video, but Strand The Strand killing was ruled an accidental self-inflicted wound, but there's some serious question about that. And what makes it even more serious is the I'll call it a probability, though I think it's the case, that the U-2 just happened to be in the hangar there, and that hangar is the same hangar that Oswald's outfit kept their gear in. And I don't want to get into it too much, but it's not explored anywhere in any investigation, apparently, where Oswald was when Strand was killed. Now, I'm not saying Oswald killed Strand. I think that's unlikely. But if we've got a two-man team, somebody could kill Strand as a diversion, while the other guy goes into the U-2 hangar and gets the secrets of the U-2. But I'll leave that to that video. This video is about the coincidence, and this is what I think, this is the most interesting coincidence, though there's one more very interesting coincidence. But this one I think is special, and that's why I have to do a video on the Strand killing. And this is more from the personnel file when he was being investigated for hire by the Dallas Police Department. And at the top of this, it's the end of his service. He had re-enlisted when his first enlistment was up. But then on December 4th, 1962, he got an honorable hardship discharge, which is what Oswald did to get out of the service early. So that's a bit of a coincidence there. And now I don't have it on here, but it was expressed as an interest of his to join the Dallas Police Department around the time that he got out of the service. I should have found that, but I couldn't find it. But anyway, he worked some other places and applied to the Dallas Police Department. One note here, the investigator for the Dallas Police Department on September 24th, 1963 at 11 a.m., when this investigator visited in the applicant's home, he was there dressed in shorts, and he had been home on 5 or 6 different days when this investigator called him during working hours. So Roscoe is not expressing much interest in the job he was holding at the time, which was selling insurance. Yet they gave him a favorable recommendation anyway, even though he seems to be a little lazy, perhaps. Maybe he didn't seem that way, but that's the implication I get from what the investigator wrote here. And anyway, he was hired by the Dallas Police Department on October 7th, 1963. And a week later, Lee Harvey Oswald was hired at the Texas School Book Depository. And so at the time of the assassination, Roscoe White was working for the Dallas Police. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that I think the Dallas Police were involved. Roscoe White eventually, it turns out after his death, it was discovered that he had one of the backyard photos. And some people make a big deal out of that. I'm not sure a big deal should be made out of that. I don't know. But if he's serving on the Dallas Police Department at the time of the assassination, the Dallas police were involved in the conspiracy, or some of them were at least, as I believe they were, then I think it's reasonable to think that it's a possibility that Roscoe's coincidences with Oswald are not mere coincidence, and that he also performed some job for the assassination. Now, it has been reported that Roscoe admitted to his holy man. I think it was after his accident. Roscoe died in an industrial accident where he was burned to death pretty much. So I guess he survived for a while because apparently he told his I'm wanting to say priest, but I don't think he was Catholic. Apparently he told his religious dude that he killed people overseas and at home, but that he didn't kill the president. So that influences me a little bit. Maybe it shouldn't influence me because I don't know how reliable that a statement is, but I'm suspicious that he was involved in the death of Martin Strand, and I think he may have killed somebody while he was working for the Dallas police, but that's very speculative.